Hi again on this November 11th. It's the birthday celebration of Jimmy Elkins, Bingham boy, lead mine. He's 72 years old today. And Ron and I have ventured up. We're not going to say hi to Jimmy, but we're going to go right past him. Remember, Ron, we spent the 4th of July in the Copperton Park.
We did.
And we got a minute to talk about our veterans today. It's Veterans Day. And, it's such a nice, your father's on that memorial. I had several uncles on the memorial, but the veterans of all wars need to be acknowledged today respectfully.
Yeah, my dad is on it. So is my Uncle Johnny Yengich and one of their cousins. They're just a lot. I mean, as I was driving here today, I thought, I wish I had a good picture of it. Just so you could read the names and it would be poetry for Bingham people just by reading their names out, because it is
You get a geography lesson by reading that monument.
But it's also a who's who of the names of people in Bingham. But so, Veterans Day, and we got to honor our vets. And if I might, while we're here, throw out a little advertisement, and that is that on December 6th, at Copperton Park, we'll do the 41st annual Nick Yengich run. It's also, we've added some people to it. It's called the Nick Yengich Grandma Gump Jeff Jensen run. And Grandma Gump was Jerry Ennis, who was a wonderful lady, had Jerry's Cafe on 7th East and about 9400 South in Sandy for a long time, and then became the Draper City Judge, where she was just terrific, but also devoted most of her, also devoted her life. Bill was warming up in the back because Bill may play a little bit, but she was very devoted to helping young people that got into trouble and was a mother to many. And then Jeff Jensen, my dear friend from a law school classmate who died of cancer a few years ago. So we do it on December 6th, the first Saturday in December.
And the proceeds go to?
They go to something relevant to today. They go to the Veterans Court in the 3rd District Court. We help support them. And we also give money to homeless vets. And also we also combine it with helping the St. Paul's Methodist Church. They do their bazaar there every year. They have a chili cook-off. And it's a lot of fun, and we're able to help support them for their year. So if you're rain or snow, sun or wind, we do it every year. Done it for 41 years. The only year we didn't do it was COVID. In COVID, and yet a bunch of people showed up because I went there on that day. So we walked the course. So 5K run walk. And come if you can. And
make a donation. Bring some cupcakes to sell at the Methodist Church, right?
Yeah, that, or they've got stuff, but yeah, I mean, if you bring food, we give that also. We collect warm clothing and food for the homeless, and it's a good time. We have a lot of fun.
Well, it is Veterans Day, but I want to just point to a couple of veterans that mean something to me, because they do. My brother, Marine, in Vietnam. He got there in 1965, March of 1965, and stayed there 19 months, because he did 2 tours Vietnam. Yesterday was the Marine Corps birthday, November 10th. And my cousin Costa Napolis, Salt Laker, he's also Marine in Vietnam, combat Marine. Joe Caputo, who's passed away, Marine in Vietnam. My buddy Joe Coffey, Marine in Vietnam. Clark, we know him on Facebook as CT Phantom Band. He's a really wonderful guy. He was at one of the marches, No Kings, a veteran against the war. He was at a battle in Vietnam called Mutter's Ridge. That's you can look it up. It's where who was the prosecutor against Trump, and one of the early, anyway. He was wounded there. Robert Mueller was wounded at Mutter's Ridge, and he barely got out, this guy. I mean, he was a mortarman. But the Marines, all the glory to those guys yesterday, and others. Ironically, that's where the music went off, and my bad for using that Google tool we talked about last week. Yeah. So I Googled other people born today, and here's an irony, unless it's wrong. George S. Patton was born today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and also, now he's the fighter warrior, right? Also born on this day was Kurt Vonnegut.
Oh, really?
So
Slaughterhouse
5. So here on one hand of it, you have the victorious Patton, and on the other side, Kurt Vonnegut, who became a very anti-war kind of author. You know, his books were
Yeah,
very
sure.
much touching. He was a prisoner of war in World War II. Slaughterhouse-Five is epic, and
No, it's
both
a great.
those guys.
It's a great book. My good friend Bob Henderson, God rest his soul, who graduated from the United States Military Academy. He loved Vonnegut. I mean, Vonnegut was everything to him. And really good guy. And Bob was in Vietnam. A couple other people, my buddy Mike Day, boats to us because he served on the Enterprise, and Eddie Vigil and Lonnie Stone and Ben Krebs and so many other people, and then Kim Fitzgerald and Mike Hughes and the Midvale boys that are on the memorial.
Well,
there.
Eloy Romero was Marine Vietnam, and I think Gene Martinez was, but it's certainly Gene's cousin Jimmy Martinez was a Marine, and he's one of the Midvale boys that died within 3 weeks of each other. Bang, bang, bang in 1967.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting? I mean, not to get too off on it, that Romero and Martinez. Are you kidding me?
Gonzalez.
And Gonzalez and Herrera and other
Velarde,
names.
everybody I knew that was Hispanic did the honorable.
They did the
Not all,
honorable thing.
of course not, but so many.
And so it's nice to know, and then we'll move on from this because we've got some other things to talk about. That now that Donald Trump they've conceded that they're moving ICE out of Chicago, primarily because the people in Chicago just said, bullshit, we don't want this. This is not the America we believe in. Go home. He'll find a way to claim victory, but they ran them out of town effectively.
Cool. You know, I don't want to talk about Chicago. They have a marathon there, correct?
Right.
Have one in New York. Well, last week we talked about the word fennel.
Yeah.
And we said, well, we won't talk about what it is. But do you know what the word fennel means in Greek?
No, but you do.
I think it's marathon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, marathon. Anyway, so these great big fennel fields up in north of Athens, 26 miles away, was the site of the Battle of Marathon, about 480, 490 BC, whatever it was. And that's when King Darius the Persian was turned back by a band of Athenian soldiers and other allies. Just a murderous battle. There was 129 some odd Athenians died and 4,000 or 5,000 Persians. It's crazy because of the phalanx that was developed on that battlefield. But after the battle, a Greek messenger, Philippides, ran back to Athens to say, hey, we did it. Now, there's a longer story we can tell another time, but he ran back to Athens, pronounced upon the assembly at the probably Athens Agora, Ninika men, we are victorious. We were victorious. Nike comes from that word, victory, and promptly fell over dead. So, bigger story there. At any rate, because of that run that he did, it developed into a race called the marathon, 26-mile race. My daughter just did it yesterday morning. What day is it? Tuesday? Yeah, she did it. She ran it Sunday morning and finished it, and it was really quite the deal to see a little girl. Just accomplish that. She just put her head to it. It's her third marathon. Ron, you know a little bit about that marathon. You're a marathoner, so
yeah. I mean, I'm not a marathoner, but I ran a lot when I was in college, and
you did a marathon.
And I did a marathon in 1975, the Salt Lake Marathon. It was when they ran it on the 4th of July, and the course was a little bit different. But I mean, I ran many marathons, 13 milers and 10Ks and stuff like that. That's the only marathon I ever ran. I'm proud of myself for doing it. The course was tougher then because you went up and uphill twice on Little Mountain, but I finished 39th overall and
overall?
Yeah, 39th overall, and I ran a 3:06, which is pretty good. And I'm not overly proud of that. I really wanted to beat 3 minutes, and I thought I could, but I hit the 22-mile mark, and my body said, I think that we're done here, pal.
Yeah, my daughter, when she ran her first one, she wrote a story called Mile 22 on her blog.
But I'll tell you what picked me up, and I won't go on with this, but that was right when we were getting into the city, and there were people that were cheering for you. And it's amazing how when your body is just seemingly past what you want to do anymore, that the cheers of people
It elevated you?
elevate you on. Sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting thing.
Well, they need it there. I mean, she's at the start, and they're 9 hours ahead, and somehow she drew like a 10 a.m. start time, 10:15. So I had to be up at 1 in the morning to follow her, right? And we had the app, and she's got a bib number you can track, and so we track. And she had said originally, like, she's trained hard here up in City Creek and different places. She's looking to go like 4 hours and 30 minutes or something like that.
But I want to interject here. I have people that, friends of mine that run marathons and run ultra marathons. And a long time ago, after I had run my marathon, talking to one of these people, and he said to me, we were talking about the Athens Marathon. And he says, I'm going to tell you what right now, I won't run that. This guy ran 100-milers and did stuff. He said, because when you run that, it's like you're running 30-plus mile, not like you're running 26.
She was training for 26, not 35 or 36, right?
Yeah, and he said, look, anybody that finishes that marathon, I admire them because it's such a tough marathon.
It's sea level, deceiving.
It's sea level, but there are a lot of false flats. There are a lot of there are hills. I mean, you're running hills. It's generally hot, hotter than you expect. And he said it's crowded, but there's nothing to break up the monotony either, because you're running in an area that is pretty much the same, which is hard for runners.
It's neutral territory.
Yeah.
She's at the start, and she goes, oh, damn, this guy next to me, he's run 100 marathons, so she said, something like this.
Yeah.
He said, this is the hardest of it all. Along the way, she texted, or somehow got the, I guess, text. I just passed this ultra marathoner, ran by me for a while. He said he uses this one to train for ultra marathons.
Yeah, no.
God.
You sent a really great picture. Actually, a couple of great pictures of it. I don't know if she would want them posted, but you go, now that's a champion right there, because you can see that I mean, marathoning and those type of things are suffering. You got to be prepared to suffer. And I admire people that do that, because I think I'm past that in my life to do that type of thing. Although I've talked with some friends of mine about walking the Camino Real. I don't know if I can do it. I'm thinking about it. But in any event, I admire her, and I'm glad she did it.
Lenny has always been like, she puts her mind to it, she does it.
Yeah.
Each of my kids has a really wonderful positive trait or traits. Lenny's the one that her special trait is, okay, I'm going to do it, and she's then doing it.
Yeah.
But, totally opposite me. So, like, when I took up jogging, when I did, like when most people did, early 70s or mid 70s, a lot of people, you had those silly cloth gym shorts.
Yeah.
They were tight. And a T-shirt was just a white T-shirt,
Yeah, right.
And might have had an oil stain from changing the oil, but it wasn't anything fancy. And, no Reeboks, just regular tennis shoes. Often we would smoke as we ran. How stupid are we? But I got into a 5K thinking, okay, this is a hobby I can get into.
Yeah.
Got into 5K over the Fair Park, and here we go. Me and Joe Stalinovich from Bingham, and he'd been running, and I just lose sight of him in no time. But I'm gassed like at 200 yards or something. God, now what? And I'd been running, but I blew it out. I didn't know what I was doing. So ultimately, I finished the race, and there were I took 300. They gave me, you got 39 in a marathon.
Yeah.
I took number 300 in a 5K. 5K, not a 10K, 5K. But there were only 303 racers. And behind me was a woman pushing a baby. there was a guy that was like seeing eye dog or something, and then there was another person that they just picked a number, and he was just along for the ride, probably eating apricots along the way or something. So really, I took that last, and I said, okay, I'm humiliated, I'm done. I kept running a little bit, but enough of that stuff.
Well, in the Tour de France, the last racer that finishes the race is a famous guy. He gets what is called the Lanterne Rouge. And so he becomes a famous, the Lanterne Rouge, just like the winner of the Tour, in his country is never going to have to buy a beer again.
Who was the guy that had the bagels in Salt Lake? There was a bagel there was Einstein and another bakery came at the same time, bagels. Was it Greg LeMond? Who was the other great American?
Oh, Greg LeMond was.
But who was the other? There was another American.
There was a guy named, the first one was Jacques Boyer.
An American.
American. Then Greg LeMond. And then after that,
Who's the guy that cheated?
Lance Armstrong.
Okay, it wasn't Lance Armstrong.
No, it came before. There were a lot before Armstrong.
It was Greg LeMond then, I'm pretty sure. And he was involved in this bagel joint. He's signing posters. We got invited to it. And I handed him the poster, and he says, well, how should I sign this? And I said, always finish the race. And he looked at me. He goes,
oh, that's good.
yeah. And he made that real big on the poster. He said, I like that. And he said, that's what you got to do. And I said, well, it's for my kid. And then he signed it. And anyway, that's
your Greg
Viking
LeMond story.
That's my Greg LeMond story.
Wait
till I tell you my, who was the, never mind about my stories. Let's go onward, Ron.
All right, well, we're going to talk about your stories, though. Today is kind of be a little bit different because you wrote what I think is one of the great columns, and you're a great writer, and I've always said that, and I believe it to be the case. But you wrote a great, relevant column to where we are in America today and where our generation is. And I'm going to read the column, and so everybody understands.
You're going to...
I'm going to read it, and It will take about 5.5, 6 minutes to read, but it's going to be worth it because this is truly a brilliant column. We're in a different time in our world today, and those of us that are, on the back end of our lifespan are reflecting on things, and this is one of the great reflective columns of all time, in my judgment. And you've written some great ones, but this belongs with Jimmy Breslin and Hunter Thompson and other good.
Please say
writers.
Royko, but I mean, I thank you for those compliments. That's too generous.
And
Royko's the guy that I must say.
I'll throw Royko in because it's of that type. Because here's the thing about writing columns where you, in a sense, are the subject of the column. It takes real honesty to do it. Red Smith, the great baseball writer, sports writer, someone asked him one time, I may have said this before on this program, but somebody said, how is it that you're able to sit down after a ball game and you write the story of the game and then you write a column about it? How do you do that? And he said, oh, it's simple. I sit in front of the typewriter and I open a vein and I bleed my life into it. And that's what you did in this column. So we're going to read it and then we're going to talk about it. And we're going to kind of carve into your heart a little bit. You're not good at letting people do that, but you're stuck now. All right. So
Thank you.
The name of this is Good Bartenders and Good Journalists Know When to Keep Secrets and When Someone is Bad for Business. We won't interrupt it. We're going to read the whole thing, and Bill is I think is going to post the column with this on Substack. So here we go. In 1967, somewhere in England, a young girl quietly left her home at 5 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. She carried only a handkerchief and left a note behind for her parents to later discover. She was last seen the following Friday at 9 a.m. greeting a man from the motorcade. She has not been heard from since. Her note, like all such notes of departure, did not say enough. Where could she have gone, her parents wondered, and are we to blame? Why did she leave us? Did we do enough? Their lament was of one all too familiar to all too many. After all they had done for her, how could she do this to them? It's now 58 years on, and no one has an idea of what became of her. Did she grow into a mother herself, a mother who might have felt the same remorse upon a loved one leaving home as her own mother once did? Did she return to her parents and reconcile whatever caused her to leave in the first place? Were her parents right to wonder if she left home merely to have fun? And importantly, did she have fun? We will never know, that is, unless Sir Paul McCartney revisits that long ago world and tells us. His lyrical homage to a young woman's decision to leave home, as reported in a local newspaper, reportedly prompted McCartney to write the song, She's Leaving Home. The song was among the many bright candles what many believed to be the greatest album of all time, the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Never mind that none of the Beatles performed any music on that particular song. I am not alone among baby boomers who recall all the words and notes of Sgt. Pepper. I must have listened to that album 5,000 times, 4,500 of them while lying on the itchy carpet floor of the living room in our house in Leadmine, Bingham Canyon, where our stereo console ate about 20% of the room all by itself. Oh, that poor stereo needle. My lats. I think that's a great. I listened to the song so often that I too resolved to leave home. While I did so in far less dramatic fashion than the girl in the song, I was similarly young, 18 or 19, when I left. I was so profoundly inexperienced in all things that I spent the better part of the next decade trying to figure out who I was and what I wanted to do in life. I left no note. I just said, "Hey, Mom, I'm moving out." And that was that. I was flat broke and had no job, but my parents didn't bar the door. Instead, they kept the gasoline tab open at Fat Hurley's Chevron gas station in Copperton, so I could drive the 15 miles or so back home now and then to tank up. Sometimes I even stopped to say hi and grab a sandwich. Among the things I was not good at was taking care of myself. I did kind of figure that out, though, mostly via the 8 or so college degrees I accumulated while tending bar at some of the best Utah nightclubs of that era. People and places and lies. Oh my. I met men and women of all stripes and all cultures, which I was good at anyway, but which was only further reinforced. A good many of them would later support me in the little paper I started. This one. John's talking about the City Weekly, where this appears. For many years, with not just encouragement, but with advertising dollars too. They taught me business, communication, salesmanship, bar tricks, how to hold your liquor, and importantly, how to keep a secret. I didn't realize it at the moment, but not ratting out the big tipper when he was drinking with his mistress and not his wife was not dissimilar to making sure I held the trust of a news source. Per the prior, I kept earning tips. Per the latter, I kept getting tips. By the time I was 25 years old, I knew the little secrets of many people, a good number of whom were not supposed to be seen in a bar in the first place, let alone to be witnessed snorting lines of cocaine off of a waitress tip tray. But you know, people are only saintly to a point. Politicians and priests, businessmen and businesswomen, everyone held secrets in a bar, and as I later learned via the newspaper business, outside of bars as well. Most people are good, and that's what most of us are. But the bad guys, the crooks, the braggarts, the cheats, the liars, the raconteurs with no soul, bartenders saw them coming a mile away and always cringed when management let them in because they were supposedly good for business, with their flashy smiles and fist-waving big bucks. It was the opposite. Decent folks fled. I describe it thusly. I knew Donald Trump before Donald Trump became Donald Trump. Modern big media is no different. It encourages the scurrilous, least worthy among us to be the news and to make the news, promoting them into our highest political offices because it's good for business. Honest journalists cringe when their owners fold. Citizens become disillusioned and checked out. It may be good for business, but not for long. I'm one of those who is looking to check out. I'm going to read that sentence again. I'm one of those looking to check out. I'm becoming the girl in Paul's song, feeling something inside that was always denied for so many years. This business is no longer fun. It's time for another song. We got to get out of this place.
Well, thank you, Ron. I didn't really know that was going to happen today.
That is such a fantastic call.
Thank you. You're motivating me to finish and write for more than 2 hours at a time. I usually have to squeeze them out, but I appreciate that. I did actually get a few letters, and I appreciate those, and they took me to where I needed to probably get regrounded to. What we do, what your brother Nick did, what you do as a lawyer, following truth, our truth, that we know it, and pursuant of the truth we learned, being honest, may not pay the greatest dividend, but it's not a bad place to be.
No, it does pay the greatest dividend. It doesn't pay the most money.
That's right. And unfortunately, these days, we talked about that early on. We've got the wrong metric. We need a new scorecard. Mine's not money. And in that world of that dividend, you're right. I felt that this week, there was a good handful of letters, and it was just really, really nice and sweet to hear. Your commentary today takes me off guard, and you said it right. I'm not good.
No, you don't
this
like
part
it.
of it. And I'm not liking it. I'm just not comfortable in that. And
That means you don't like it.
well, I don't know how to accept it, and that's the hard part. And I should be. I'm not being ingracious. I do much appreciate it and feel what you're saying. I can see it, and I heard your voice emote. I sense that there's something in there that you relate to, and if that's the case, then it really means a lot, because that's what writers like Royko and Breslin and people you mentioned really try to do: connect with somebody. And in our world, when you connect with 5 people the right way, it's better than connecting with thousands or millions the wrong way. And it's not a matter of just likes and comments. It's meaningful, and that meant a lot to me. I can't thank you enough for that.
Well, we're not done with it, though. I mean, I think the one thing is when you say, and I get it. I mean, I quit practicing law, but the fact is not truly, because I still take calls from lawyers. I took one right before I got here who had a question and wanted me to tell him what I thought he should do in a circumstance. I've got a couple of people that I'm representing now that I was asked to help out by some other lawyers that couldn't do it. And a true vocation is important. And to you, and we go back a long time, but and I remember when you asked me to write for the Private Eye. It was at a jazz game. It was at a jazz game on the floor of the Salt Palace when I was leaving, and you grabbed me, and I was honored to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
And the thing is that to you, the Private Eye and the City Weekly was a vocation. And earlier this year, before we started doing, or last year, started doing that, I got a call from the editor at I don't know what his title is, asking me if I would reflect on you. And I did so and sent some stuff to him.
Yeah, that was Wes for our 40th anniversary.
Yeah, and it's amazing because you and I didn't always get along, and that's cool. And we went for some years without talking, and that's sad, but it's also cool because of this. When somebody has something that they believe in, it's a profession, it's not a business, it's not a job, it's not a catapult to something else. When you find it, and I found it with the law, being a criminal defense lawyer, that's good enough. When you love it so much that you're willing to put yourself out and also be vulnerable, because when you write columns or you run a paper or you run a criminal law office or you're a doctor, whatever. It can be anything. It can be a bus driver. When you love it and you do it every day and you do it because you care about it, then that's a vocation. It's a calling. You're called to do it because it's perfect for you. And that's who you've been. And to see, there you go, I've kind of had it. I've had enough. I get that, but here's the truth. And I wrote this down because I want to get it right. Yours is a true vocation. Vocations are a tar baby, okay? All right? Is a constant and perpetual session on a shrink's couch. You're the shrink and you're the guy on the couch where you're asking yourself, why the F am I continuing to do that? And you're always analyzing your entire life based upon the last case you tried or the last column you wrote or the last edition that you put out. That's the entirety of what a professional life is for people who care and are in it for the right reasons. And ultimately, with all of the problems that come with it, you get to a point where you can't leave. And you can't leave. You can't walk away from it, because if you wanted to really, you would be stuck in it anyway. And that's why this is such a great column, because we're at a time. People wonder what's going to happen. How is the America that I dream, not the dreams of not just other people, but people that I love? How did that happen? Why, and I'll use the technical legal phrase here, why the fuck am I still doing this? Why do I care enough? Well, you care enough because it's a vocation. It isn't a job.
Well, that's what it became. And, it was alive. And you're only as good as, cliche, as your last column, as your last at-bat, as your last anything. And in this one, every week it changes, at least for me, because I was a weekly columnist. And at the same time, we're publishing other people in there. Then sometimes I agreed or didn't agree with, like guys like yourself or Bill Frost sitting there. I mean,
Yeah.
you both did wonderful stuff. Don't get me wrong there, but times I had to say, hey, look, this paper is for everyone, and I'm not really on the side of whatever goes in it.
No.
But I do support that voice being said, having a voice. And later on, it became onerous, particularly these last 10 or 12 years, because we weren't just being expressive, all of us in media. People were looking for us for the ultimate answer, which we don't have.
Right.
And so it became at a time when referencing that last part of it, I'm pretty much tired of this fake news bullshit stuff, and it's been replaced by faker news, and nobody seems to care about that.
No, and the people that are calling fake news are the ones that also giving fake news.
And by using AI and fake and all that kind of stuff. So it's just this game of not being active in, holding on to what the truths are. Because the truths were taught to us when we were young. We heard them all by first, or second, or third grade.
Right.
We knew all those things that we are as a country, who we will be, and then we became something else, and I don't know why either. So when I said I want to get out of this place, I know that I can't. I told one of the people that wrote me, I said, no, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to stop writing. I can, in this day and age, I could be on Mars and hit the send button, and
Right.
so I can still communicate that way. I meant physically, and trying to get out of here because living in Utah is frankly tough, and that was the underlying part. Being around people that worship Donald Trump, it's not new than worshiping other people I didn't like or do like. Or they like people. I respected people they didn't. There's nothing really new there, except this guy really, he's the apex bad guy in my entire life. And I don't understand why they don't have to be on my mountain. I'm not asking for that, but can't they see it?
Well, here's the thing. The deal is that you said it so well in the piece, and that is when you transition to the archetypical guy that came into a bar. I worked as a bartender. I owned a bar. I was a part owner of a bar. I grew up in a bar. And there are certain people that walk into bars when you've been around for a while and you go,
Trouble.
Yeah, but nobody likes this guy.
That's
They'll
right.
they'll take his money, but nobody likes him, and
That line that says, I knew Donald Trump before Donald
Exactly.
Trump became Donald Trump isn't about Donald Trump
No.
per se, but he's the
archetype.
So, like, those guys would walk in, you'd be having a wonderful time, and the music's playing, the waitresses are fun, you got your eye on a pretty girl, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. Anything going on, and here comes that guy.
And one of the reasons is because when that guy shows up, he needs to suck all of the air
Takes it all
over
away.
to him, and then people start going, well,
I'm a guy from Bingham, so when a guy somebody's paying $1.40 back in those days for a vodka and soda, this guy walks in with a $100 bill lighting his cigarettes, and you go, I have no chance. How am I going to date the model or whatever, And then the models would go for it because, hey, there come the free cocaine. I shouldn't pick on models, but it aptly is true.
Yeah.
And so whoever was into that, always seemingly the most attractive, most desired were the ones that fell for this craziness. And, and they go off in a fast car, and then they would be dumped. There's the thing, they would be dumped. Now they're tainted, if you will, because everybody knows they fell for the bullshit, and now they got to find somewhere else to go. And this guy comes back again, and they keep letting him back in, even though he's burned the bridge. How many times? This first time I heard the word 86 was a character like that. So
it's one of the things about it is that that's why I really have a great love of life. I've had my own problems, and I've been hurt myself. But the thing is, and you know this at a deep level, what you realize is those are good learning experiences.
Well, they were good to learn.
And it may well be that the chick that leaves with him realizes that at some point too.
I came out fine.
And all of that stuff. And everybody gets the fact that the story that you look for, unless you're some of the Hollywood writers writing movies now, you're looking for redemption. I mean, that's the great story. Redemption is the great story. Failure isn't the great story. The great story is redemption.
Well, these guys would come in, and they were plural, and dominate, as you say, the room, then suck the best parts of it away, and people started saying, hey, I don't like it here anymore. It's like Yogi Berra said, nobody goes there anymore, it's too crowded. But we watched that become the next part of it before Donald Trump became Donald Trump. So what happened in that particular case, and I've seen others, those people somehow become exalted. You'd think that would be the end of it. But and particularly in Donald Trump's case, he became Donald Trump, the Donald Trump, thanks to The Apprentice, which carefully crafted his persona and image for millions of people for a plethora of years who still believe this guy is a successful businessman. He's an epic of what is good and right about America, and he's done everything wrong. On a day like today, example, same shit. It's Veterans Day, and what does he make it about? Him.
Yeah.
He did that this morning and defiled the things we talked about earlier. It means, but to MAGA people, that's cool. He's Donald. He speaks his mind. He speaks like he doesn't speak like us. Why do they stay in there? Let's not talk. Please, let's not even go with Donald Trump.
But I'll just follow up with that for a minute. So, the fact of the matter is that every one of those people lost that. It's Bruce Springsteen's song, Glory Days. Most of those people had their glory days. Donald Trump and a few others don't. But they're not the people that you care about. If nothing, anything else, you feel sorry for them in a way.
You're right. You're right. If you're talking about, I feel sorry for MAGA people. I didn't used to.
And so it's the deal. But let's talk a little bit about your take on the song. Okay.
Well, it's Paul McCartney's song, right? And he, it came out of nowhere. That same album, isn't it the same album that says When I'm 64, or is that a different album? When I get older. Anyway, he's writing about things that are. Remember, Paul wrote Here, There, and Everywhere, probably my favorite Beatles song.
One of the great songs.
I Will, which is just a fabulous love song.
Nobody knows that song.
It's on the White Album.
Nobody knows that song.
Who knows how long I've loved her? You know I love her still. While I wait a lonely lifetime. If you want me to, I will. Yeah, so that's it. Nice duet there. Or If I Ever Loved You, I Didn't Catch Your Name. And he wrote that. He wrote Hey Jude. He wrote some really wonderfully populous Yesterday. Michelle, these soft odes. But here's the thing that I want to say. He also wrote Helter Skelter. Same guy.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, he wrote some really good songs about women. Maggie May, and that was really about his dog, by the way. But he also did one with Wings. We talked about it earlier. It's Just Another Day, which is about a working girl, not a prostitute, but just a working girl and her life at that time. That is, I think those lives have changed a little bit, what her dreams were in a way. And you know that he was probably influenced by his wife at that time. But it's a great song.
And here's another great one, Blackbird.
Oh, Blackbird's a great song.
Now, Blackbird, people think it's about a bird. It isn't. You know what it's about?
It's about racism.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the Beatles were the first, among the first bands that said, we will not play in segregated arenas.
Yeah, well,
forced the hand of the big promoters of the day to segregate. That song's about...
That's about that. He wrote the Black and White with Michael Jackson. Dion DiMucci, who was a friend of the Beatles, particularly John Lennon, was the guy that, when he was touring before the Beatles, would not go to places where they would not let black entertainers on the bill. And also, Sam Cooke was a friend of his. He'd seen what happened to Sam Cooke. So these guys are good guys. And McCartney certainly was. But I want to give you a couple of little things about that song.
Okay.
Because that's been a song that I've loved forever. I have a relationship with that song the same way you do, but it's a little bit different. And there's a part of that song that I won't talk about. But you wrote that leaving a man for the motorcade.
Right.
But you know what? That's not the line. We all do this. It's meeting a man from the motor trade. Well, motor trade is a synonym for an abortionist. So, which kind of changes it a little bit when you think about that. And the reason I know that is a long time ago in my Beatle period, and I was still in college, I bought a book and it was called The Illustrated Beatles. It's a great book. It's people take their songs and either with photographs or painting, they paint the song or they photograph the song. And that is in that book. Now, I don't even know that that's true, but that is the statement that it's a Liverpudlian use of the motor trade as a symbol of an abortionist. So that kind of changes your take on it a little bit.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I found this just out yesterday when I decided I thought we should do this, and that is that McCartney did ultimately talk about it a little bit, and not that long ago. And he gets the idea about the song from a Daily Mirror story. Now, you'd know this. I guess the Daily Mirror is their kind of their...
Yeah, it was a newspaper. He picked up... I didn't know the name of the newspaper. If that's the one, he picked it up, and it was a story about a young girl who left home.
Left home, and she ran away.
And
it's a true story. And the woman's name is Melanie Cole. She's 17. She ran away from home to go with her older boyfriend, who don't know how old, but you get the sense that he was older. He was a croupier at a gambling place. She ran away with him. The interesting thing about it is, and I love these background things on these to see how a brilliant mind can take a little story and convert it to their own, and because of where they live. I mean, McCartney and Lennon, they came up in a pretty rough area of Liverpool, and then what's interesting, she didn't know she was the subject of that story till later on. And she had met McCartney, very beautiful young lady. She had met him at some show. He didn't remember it. But then she moved to L.A. and she became the girlfriend of Burt Ward. You know, remember who?
He's boy in Batman.
Yeah, yeah. She became Robin's girlfriend. Yeah. So anyway, so that's a little bit a couple of things about that song. But you know, and I look back at that time. You left home by saying, I'm leaving. I left home because I had to get out of Utah and had a chance to go to Kentucky and had to fight with my mom particularly. Well, I've told that story here. But when you look at these things about our lives and you look back at them, you say, without you doing what you did, you don't become John Saltas, the newspaper impresario and columnist and all of that stuff. You don't.
Right.
If I don't go to Kentucky, there are so many things I would have been different in my life, and I don't know better, even though that was a tough time. And so that's the beauty of it, because that's what, if you live your life and you're open to challenges, maybe even at this time out of our lives.
But it still is. I mean, it's the butterfly effect. You know, we always say, and all my kids, we all say the same thing, everything changes everything. I have no doubt that in my mind that I could have, you know, if I'd have zigged left instead of right and not dislocated my shoulder at football, I'd have been playing football somewhere. If I'd have picked up the guitar earlier, I've still got a pile of songs I've written. I could have gone that route personally. And other people doing the same thing. But it ultimately leads to this. And the girls I had heartache for back then, I was, you know, they did. Those Beatles songs we mentioned all touched something. When I was pissed off because the guy, that Trump of the day, would come in and walk off with the model, I had my eyes on, you know, they were my buddies.
Yeah.
And then, hey, the part about that that's really pissy is that not only do they get the girl out, they get all these, like, the leeches of the men.
Yeah, sure.
That all of a sudden go over there. They had no life whatsoever. And then he accumulate, that guy, that persona would accumulate the something beauty and destroy it and harm it and so on, get rid of it because there's more that they could pilfer.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And meanwhile, accumulate all this massive maggots around them. Not maggots like in maggot, but just leeches.
Yeah.
So if I'd have gone that way and, you know, somehow, I would not trade 1 second of time away from the kids that I have and the life I have for something different.
No.
And that part of it, that's where you're right, that she's leaving home. What happened? Where did she go? She became Burt Ward's girlfriend of all goddamn things. I didn't see that one coming.
That had to be, well, you know, we're about at the end. We're going to keep this under 50 minutes today, but a couple other things about Sgt. Pepper's and that album and the impact it had on us, and listening to it on an 8-track, particularly where you would cut off somewhere and you'd start again when it rolled over. But a couple other things about it. Great song, one of my favorite songs, Summer Rain by Johnny Rivers. That came out the year after, the summer after of that, and it's got a great line in it, one of my favorite lines. All summer long, we spent dancing in the sand, and the jukebox kept on playing Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Yeah.
That album had such an amazing impact on everyone, and it's really fascinating to think that it's 2025 and we're still here. We've got the fortune to be here and to be able to spread what little wisdom I have and more that you do about life and about how, because there are a lot of people that are out there that are really seriously have problems, and I feel bad for them. And you do too. And there are lots of people that do that don't have a voice. But the point of it is this: Donald Trump didn't win. Those guys in the bar.
Talking about last week, or
he didn't.
Ultimately, didn't win.
He didn't win. You know, he's the loser.
Right.
Because the reality
he had the ways to keep reinventing himself, but he was not the winning hand in that room ever. Ever.
And the winners are often not the people that get the trophy. The winners are the people that live their lives and towards the end of their lives can say with joy, yeah, I screwed so much shit up, but you know what? If you gave me the opportunity to live it over again, I wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't either.
Okay.
So, I just want to, the part of it, that column that struck a couple of people, it says, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Got to find a new song. Of course, that was the Animal song. We got to get out of this place.
Yeah.
I got to, and that, I meant that physically. And that was prior to yesterday's good news, and this is where I'll send that. I felt like, and I believe you may not agree, but living in Utah without representation for so many years, I'm talking about political representation.
Yeah, sure.
The people I get that somehow this red and blue stuff nationwide it's just the worst. And when we redesigned the maps legislatively by voice of the people, the referendum that went through,
sure,
shot down, destructed, because we've got to keep Utah red. Why? 3/4 of Salt Lake County is blue. No representation. So that's what I was feeling. I can't live like this. Like the whole thing, taxation without representation is me.
Yeah.
It's me. I've been paying my taxes here with no representation for a hell of a long time. I got a government, but they don't represent me. They don't talk to me. They don't come near me. And that's what I feel like get away. My kids have if they were politically ambitious, they might rise to city councilman in Murray. That's the high epic of it, right? They have no chance. And nor do other people's kids in this environment where, you don't get to represent that whole mass of people in this county and other blue areas of the state fairly because you can redraw a map. And lacking that representation and knowing that you can redraw maps means on the other side, they keep at the very lowest levels putting into office the absolute worst of us. You cannot convince me Mike Lee's the best Utah for Senate, or that Trevor Lee's the best representative to be in the House, or that you can go on Schultz and all the rest of them up at the House that are just in there just to keep the party line. Tell me the difference between that and what you and I grew up with in first, second, and third grade hearing about Khrushchev talking about one-party system. That's where I was talking about, I got to get out of here. I'm going to go somewhere and catch a fish because I am not feeling it here any longer. And I can't keep fighting that and beat my head against the wall. That's what I was feeling, Ron.
I understand. And then a judge
overturned it.
Overturned
a
good judge, a good
young
judge. Yeah, I do. And
please talk about her.
She's a good, I don't know her well personally. I just know that she's a good, solid judge. She understands what her job is, and she's not going to roll over to the pressure. Some of the time...
They're already talking about impeaching her because of this. What the hell? Why even have a justice system or a court system if it's so easy to just get rid of it and clap your hands?
You know what? I would think that she's past that. I think that there are some people that go, then impeach me. Let's have the battle. I don't want that to happen for her, but we're getting past it, okay?
Let's get past it.
Okay, there is springtime in America is coming again. This guy's gonna his time's gonna end, and more importantly, for us who love you, your time is not going to end, and you're stuck at
here with you.
City Weekly. Yeah. So another song, Stuck in the Middle with You.
Stuck in the Middle with
You. Steelers Wheel.
Or we could go to Springtime in how did that song go from the producers?
Oh, Springtime
for Hitler in Germany.
Springtime for Hitler in Germany.
One of the best satires
I know.
against
No, it is.
the fascism you've ever seen.
All right. So,
Okay.
peace and love,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. That was very, very sweet of you. And to the people that did write, I can't, if you happen to also listen to this, it was actually touching. Appreciate it, but that's not why I do it. It just feels good. I'm thanking you, but we do it because we believe in the truth, not fake anything. It's real.
Yep.
And you're a real man. And Bill, I can really attest to your skill set over there, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bill doesn't want his voice here on this, and I don't blame him. So, all right.
I got my own podcast.
He's got his own podcast. That's true.
Well,
What is the name of your podcast, Bill?
TV Tan.
Which means that they drink whiskey and beer and talk about TV.
Yep.
Oh, really?
And pro wrestling.
And pro wrestling. I saw the post the other day. Who doesn't like pro wrestling? Okay, that's real, right?
Yes.
That's real. We can settle that one.
I'm speechless.
All right, to all the veterans, to all the people, all the mothers, all the people who defiantly resist the temptation to fall into further traps of malfeasance. Keep going.